Right, so we're here with Jason from Robot Dog Music.
Again,
hey, Jason.
Again, good morning. This is Superbooth Day 3. I am Jason Robot Dog Music. It literally is just me and my dog, so that's the name of the name of the company.
The dog's there.
Unfortunately, the actual dog, Dachshund, is German, but can't make it to Berlin for whatever reason. So not here.
Shame.
I apologize. But I'm here showing off a number of modules. I was an early DIY guy long ago. And eventually, I liken it to Lego. You can eventually read the manual and build what they tell you to build, or you can start building your own things. And so I started building my own things. This is my first Superbooth to exhibit at. Built a lot of products, and I'd love to show you. The first thing is Solo, which is a intelligent ribbon strip controller. If you know anything about ribbon strips in modular, there tend to be passive devices that you get CV when you touch it, but then when you let go, the CV drops off a cliff, but your gate hasn't shut yet. You get a crash every single time. It's no fun. Plus, you need a lot of glue modules to make it work, like quantize or envelope follower, et cetera, et cetera. So I integrated all of that into this 1U strip, and it's super intelligent. So what it does right now, the sequence is actually coming out of the Ornament and Crime, TB303, which is kind of the, everybody knows it, secret weapon, Ornament and Crime. As long as you don't touch the ribbon strip, Solo is passive, it's transparent, doesn't do anything. So the CV is coming in, going out, going to the chainsaw and filter, and then it's also watching the gate pattern coming through. But when you do touch the strip, you're allowed to solo over your sequence, which is a nice way to just dress up. If it's a monotonous 8-step, 16-step sequence that's going over and over, just inject a little note every once in a while. You can play a 20-minute jazz solo. No one's actually going to want to listen to that, but it also has legato mode, so it'll hold that gate open. Also has a hold function. Now, what this, everything has hold, and I didn't actually know what I wanted to do with this, but I just pulled the sequencer out. It's still holding that root note for me. And what that does for you is you can actually literally, you've got lots of time. You can sit there, patch something else, make a new sequence, whatever you want, plug the jack in, unlock, and you're stuck in again, which is really cool. It never stops. When you go in here, you can actually audition different scales, do whatever you like. I leave it in pentatonic minor because it's cheating and everybody sounds good, but you can, it will never shut off on you unless you pull the power. And in a live situation, that's like super important.
Yeah, it's got a fantastically future retro look about it as well. Tell us about the buttons that you were sourcing for some of these.
Oh, so both the case, which we'll talk about in a second, and this all come from a local electronics shop in Japan, local electronic shops in Japan, where they have like new old stock 90s Japanese tech. It's fantastic. I have a video on my Instagram that you can check out those shops. They're just so cool to walk through. When these buttons are gone, they're gone. So I don't know where I'll ever get more. But I have hundreds at this point, and they are super responsive. They're really robust, and I don't think they'll ever die. That's kind of a theme of all my products. Is I want it to be bulletproof. I don't want it to ever go away. I don't use liquid electrolytic capacitors when I can avoid it because I don't want them to leak, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So the next thing I'm showing, and new for Superbooth this year, are these two modules. These I'm calling them the Improbable Sequence. It's kind of a riff on the Escher Impossible Construction thing, if you're familiar with the stairwells and such. It's built around the principles of loopable randomness. So I'm going to turn up the hi-hats here for us, and this hi-hat pattern is being driven by the gate version, the trigger gate version. This one does gate and this one does CV. But it's patterned random, so loopable random. It'll do up to 32 steps. So if I pick up this, it's actually in binary, but you could go up all the way up to 32. At that point, I really don't hear the patterns anymore myself, so I usually leave it at like 5 or 7, get those polyrhythms going. But every time you press this generate button, it makes you a new pattern. And it's automatic. It does like 32 sample and holds all at once and dumps it into the buffer, and then it'll loop it for you over and over and over again in 3 HP. There's 2 outputs for the trigger. It mirrors whatever clock you give it. So if you throw a gate in here, it's going to give you the same length of gate out on the outputs, and also an accent output. Now these are in a choke group. It's one or the other, never both at the same time.
Oh, cool.
But then the accent output. So if you have like a 6 mod 6 or baseline or something that takes an accent input, fantastic use for this. And it's completely random. Also has reset for the pattern, and then a generate input, so you can actually automate this button press. You don't even need to be there. I have a buddy on YouTube who likes to leave his rack on YouTube for 24 hours while he goes to take a nap. And this is a great way to, every 512 steps, just have it generate a new pattern for you.
Great.
Density control, so you can more dense, less dense. It has weight left and right, so it'll balance 1 and 2. But the killer feature of this is it actually does this, which is swing, shuffle.
Absolutely.
Which is pretty rare in Euro.
Great.
And it actually does a negative swing as well, which is kind of doing some predictive stuff, which is almost impossible. On a high density, it doesn't necessarily sound so musical, but you pull the density down, throw a weird pattern in, and it just injects neat things at interesting timings every time you press that button.
Excellent.
A lot of fun. And this is kind of the same thing, but in a CV format. So you are putting in clock, you're getting 2 sample and hold CV patterns. If I pull up the oscilloscope here, this purple trace is actually the pattern that's coming from this. It runs -5 to +10 total. It's unquantized, so if you wanted to use it for pitch duty, but I use it right now. I'm actually using it to push this filter around in stereo space. So it's really fun use for it. You can also use like a low pass gate or something, CV in, but it's a loopable pattern that you can hear. I'm sure you can hear in the. It's just throwing that around in stereo, which is a lot of fun. So 2 CV outs. They're independent. You set the baseline for wherever you want the sequence to start in the realm of voltage, and then slowly you can expand it into a space. So this is where the baseline is, and there's probably a nice baseline in here somewhere as well. I'm using it for a different use. Both 3 HP. $199 US. They didn't mention the Solo, $349 US. I'm only selling direct right now because I'm not. It's just me and my dog, and I manufacture all these by hand. I've timed myself. I can do about 5 a day. But if you're interested, the newsletter is the best way to get a hold of me. robotdogmusic.com or the Instagram, of course. And then the last thing, I know there's a lot of people out there say, I like Solo. It looks really cool. I don't have 1U. So I did build a case. And this is 69 HP. You know, there's an odd number theme kind of going on, but there's actually a really good reason for that. There's some vendors out there that have put out a lot of cases that are large, but they kind of miss the plot and what modular is all about, adding things to other things to make it more unique and more your own. So just for example, you have a DFAM. There's the wonderful DFAM reset is a 3 HP module, but then that leaves you 6 HP here for just a little spice, whatever it is, or Mother 32 and the fantastic the Pico DSP from Erica Synths. This actually has the backpack in it with the Valhalla reverb, so it is super deep, and the case will accept that. But again, you get 6 HP for a little extra spice, whatever you want to put in there. I mean, humbly, there's a few more options just for that stuff. Power supply does 1.5 amps on all rails, has the gate and CV bus backplane, although hardly anybody ever uses that anymore, but it's bulletproof. I mean, I wanted this personally for like throw in a backpack. I go to my friend's house, we do barbecue and modular on the roof, that type of stuff, a lot of fun, and then be able to take it home.
You also mentioned about the pads underneath and the sort of
Oh yeah, I mean it's all about the little details, right? It's like I don't like it when I put something on a desk and 6 months later I come over and pick it up and there's black marks on your desk. So I had to have these translucent. They would not be stickers. These are silicone with an embedded washer, screwed down. It will never leave marks and never come off unless you want to unscrew it. But then of course you could unscrew it and like mount it to a VESA mount or something. It's not actually VESA compatible, but I mean sure we can work on an adapter plate or something to make it work. Maybe I'll just add VESA holes to the case itself. There's also a nod in here to my my DIY roots. Each and every power supply has these LED locations on it, but I'm not going to populate them myself. But if you do, I'm going to be selling these at cost. It's just a little acrylic plate, and if you stick that in between, you'll get a nice little laser-like accent line on your case, if that's your thing.
Just on the edge there. Yeah, great.
Fun stuff.
And how much are the cases, did you mention?
Case is going to be $499 without the actual power supply. It takes a 24 volt, but all I have access to right now is the 100 volts that's in Japan. Still trying to source power supplies. I will, however, anybody who actually wants one, I will hand carry through the process of finding an appropriate power supply for your region. So
lovely. Well, looks great, Jason. Thank you so much for showing us.
Very much appreciated. CV controllable fireplace, because everybody needs one of those in their life.
Warm your hands.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Thanks
you
so
very
much, guys. Really appreciate it. Have a great booth.